other levels of management people also, when they'll give their opinions, what happens is they'll also feel that definitely, even if the person has so much expertise in the field of the discussion kind of a thing also, macro environment and the micro environment, in both the situation, what happens is group decision is done by the expert. But if some situation arises where they really need Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I'm Abhilash Chandra from the Department of Commerce and Management in Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence. Welcome to the session 10 of the second chapter. Now here you will understand that what exactly the planning and decision making is. Now here we'll understand something about the group decision, which I have already spoken in the session 9. What exactly a group decision is. Now, when you understand individual decision and group decision, you will always favor for group decision because you have more people, and when you have more people, what really happens is you have more ideas with them, and later while correcting your mistakes, what happens is you'll be very much happy to correct your mistakes because you will get more and updated informations, and that is how the team spirit and esprit de corps can be attained while going with a group discussion. So here I have given the advantages of group discussion. Firstly, you will get more information because you will have a team where you can actually discuss with them and then come to a conclusion and take decisions. A group is better equipped as far as information is concerned, and individual cannot. See, please understand, definitely, even if the person has so much expertise in the field of the discussion kind of a thing also, what happens is he may fail. That's the reason here what happens. Individual cannot have all the information that is available to a group, as it consists of several individuals. Always I tell all my students that one is better or two is better, and they all know that two is always better than one, and here you have more people, so it is always better than one. Next is diversity of views. That means you have heterogeneous ideas, and there are a lot of ideas which flows in the group discussion. You're gonna take the best of the best and then go with it. A group always has the advantages of varied views. That is what you are supposed to understand. That is, you will have more views, opinions, suggestions, advices. That is what you will have in group discussion, but that is absent in individual decisions. This is because a group always has more than one member, and since every member is unique, please understand, every member is unique and every member will give their own opinions and views regarding to take any decisions. There is bound to be a variety in their views also. This is also the reason why there are varied approaches. So when you understand the approaches, team A, B, C, D, if you understand this, what happens is these teams will have a different approaches when you compare each other because of their unique identification, unique thinking capacity and behavioral approaches. When you understand all these things, you will get to know that these people, whoever will go with the decision making, will always consult each other, and when they consult each other, what happens, they get a beautiful idea which can be practiced, and then it will be a productivity for the company as well as the organization is concerned. And here, if you understand, it solves majority of the problems, as a group discussion tends to cover a greater area. They provide a better insight for decision making. That's what the diversity of view is all about. Now, when we understand the greater acceptability, now acceptability will be there. The reason is you people will be heterogeneous, but still while making a decision or taking a decision, what happens is they'll all form as a homogeneous one, and they'll only think about the growth perspective of the organization but not individual. That is why FWT also says that you are supposed to always go with team spirit, as well as you are supposed to accept each other. And in the books of Henry Fayol, when he has written for general industrial management, he also say that there should be subordination of individual interests as well as you should convert this individual interest to the group interest. The view expressed by a group have more acceptance than those from an individual, because if one person tells something, people may not accept it, but if it's an entire group will tell something, people will definitely accept it. This is because the decisions are not imposed but are part of a large consensus, generally agreement, that is everybody will give their consent and then their suggestions and advices are taken and then the decision will be done. A group decision is automatically assumed to be more democratic. See, always individual when it comes, it becomes a dictatorship, but whereas the group decision is concerned, we actually convert that as a democratic decision. And the decision of an individual can be perceived as being autocratic or dictatorial. Next is we have is expert opinions. There may be some group decision that require expert opinion. The group can either include experts or can call them from outside to form a separate group to take decisions on a particular issues. Now here also you need to understand they should be very much adaptable and they are supposed to accept things. The reason here is, though group decision is done by the expert, but if some situation arises where they really need a specialist and the expert who are better than them, then they can actually call them and they can invite them to their office for the decision making, and they can make a separate team of them. And then what happens is they'll go with more strategy, more experience, knowledge, and they know what exactly the contingent process is all about, and then they'll give a decision which again this group will actually decide, and then they'll be taking those decisions and they'll get the work done efficiently and effectively by the other people. So here what happens is there are some disaster management which your people need to understand. Now you'll be going through a separate subject called disaster management. Usually, an example I'll give you here. Now Infosys shares were really, it was coming down. Now whatever the decisions were taken by the decision maker, it was all for a flop show. Now what really happened is Infosys made a different team for strategic team, decision making team, where they called more of their expertise from different places, and then they made a strategy. Now I'll tell you what happened is, in the month of March, June and July, the Infosys shares were 551 rupees, though it was declining. Later when they had their team, and now if you understand, because of that strategic and the decision making happened with the expertise, now the shares of Infosys is 1200 to 1300 rupees. So what really happened is they made and they formed their own expert opinions, and because of that what happened is now again Infosys became stable. So these are the things which you people should know, that is group decision is always a better option than the individual decision is concerned. Now degree of involvement. The member of a group feels involved with a given problem. This minimizes their resistance. It strengthens an organization and facilitates decision making. Please understand, whenever you go with any of the decision making, what happens is you are supposed to ask the other levels of management people also. When they'll give their opinions, what happens is they'll also feel that they are involved in any of the decisions, and they feel that job satisfaction will be there for them. Say example, here you have a MD, and say here we have marketing manager, HR manager, and finance manager. Now understand this here, the member of group feels involved with, when he feels involved with, right? Now the members of a group feels involved with a given problem. Say a given problem is there. This minimizes their resistance. That means they'll definitely work for it to solve the problem. It strengthens an organization and facilitates decision making. Now what happens here is, say human resource management, there is a problem, that is there is a department called as recruitment department, training department, then we have promotional department, here development department. Say example, there is a problem with HR team, Now, all the people need to give their decisions, or they are supposed to involve themselves to solve the problem. What happens is each and everybody will be so much happy to solve it, and their creativity idea will be more, their solving ideas will be more. They'll go with more of alternate course of action, and later what happens is they'll select which is the best one. Now, what happens is the entire HR team becomes one. So that is how you are supposed to motivate the employees, and that will happen what? It will strengthen an organization and facilitate a proper decision making. Next we have is encourages people's participation. The same way what I told you was the entire department of HRM, they came together and they helped each other. The same way, if you understand, if you take marketing as an example, or if you take say finance as an example, a group usually provides a platform for people to present their ideas. That is what you are supposed to actually motivate them with. Group dynamic is more likely to draw out participants from people who may otherwise be hesitant. Now, what happens is hesitant to talk or interact. Now, what happens is if you don't ask them what exactly they think about solving a problem, then what happens is they'll always have that inferiority complex. Here in the group decision, what can you actually do is you can have an icebreaker wherein you can talk to your members or the teammates, then you can actually get ideas from them. And if you start interacting with them, what happens is they'll be giving the dynamically, they'll be actively, or they'll be participating in all the activities of the group. Usually there is no individual ones that is burden in the event of failure, which makes it easier for people to come up with suggestions and solution to the problem. So when you start talking to them, what happens is you are supposed to share what are the problems in your team. When you share problems in your team, and then you are supposed to give them an idea of actually making a proper decision to solve those problems, then what happens is each one of them will come with their own ideas and they'll express their ideas in the group. When they start expressing their ideas in the group, they'll also feel there is a bond in the group itself, so which will strengthen the group as well as the organizational functions. But here we have few disadvantages of group decision. Now, what exactly the disadvantages of group decision is? According to us, when we went with the previous session, we got to know that individual ideas are taken in the crisis and emergency. The same way here, group decisions cannot be taken in the emergency or very tough circumstances immediately. So you are supposed to have more time. So that is one of the disadvantages of group decision, that is immediately you cannot proceed with it. So the first one is it is time consuming, because you need to actually have all the expertise. You need to go with the market research, market survey. You are supposed to collect data. Then you are supposed to go with the decision making of alternative course of action. And then you are supposed to examine all the alternative course of action. And later you will be taking the decision. So it is time consuming. A group involves several individuals. That is first thing. That is you need to actually call all those people, getting them organized, plan and coordinating their meetings, defining and explaining to them the purpose of the meeting and the goals, and finally reaching a solution or arriving at a decision can be quite cumbersome. That is, everybody you cannot actually call them because everybody will be busy with their own work. So calling them and then inviting them for the meeting, then telling what exactly the problem is, then they'll be discussing, because they'll also have their own work which they are supposed to do in the organization. And what happens is it is full of time consuming, but what really matters, I'll tell you, you will get a best course of action and you will get a proper decision making. So the first disadvantage is time consuming. Lack of oneness. Now here it is difficult to fix responsibility in a group. In an organization, it is often essential to fix responsibility before a problem can be solved. It is difficult to do so if anything goes wrong with a decision made by a group. See, all the times whichever we used to find that the group decisions can be 100% correct, but let me tell you that there is also a limitation that you cannot guarantee accuracy even if you go with group decisions. The reason here is what? All plans will not lead to success the same way. All decisions taken will also not lead to success. It also depends on the macro environment and the micro environment. In both the situation, what happens is whatever decisions you people would have taken it will not be fruitful is what the group decision disadvantages will also says. Individual domination. Quite often discussions in a group are dominated by a few members. This will definitely happen. That is, one or two people will definitely be dominated, and the three or four people whoever are there, they'll not be dominated or they'll not express their feelings or their views. Now here what happens is, again, though it is called a group discussion, but only individual will be taking the in charge and he'll talk, and whatever he feels he'll actually express it. So here what happens is, if you will not give a proper criteria or proper strengthen to all the other group members, then only one person will only take the entire chance and he'll go with a final decision making. Although group decision means a collective decisions, some people usually manage to draw to them a position of informal leadership owing to their personality or style of participation. So one or two will be there in a team or in a group where they'll actually take their own decisions and make that as a individual decisions. Compromise decisions. Please understand this. The need to arrive at a group decision sometimes result in compromise. That is, the solution offered is not essentially the best. It is instead a compromise accepted as a midpoint to all concerned. There are different demands and social presence, and members may agree to a proposal without really evaluating it. Now here what happens, because of circumstances, though the decisions taken by the group is not good or it is not so much effective, but still sometimes what happens is, due to the market survey, due to the analysis which we have done, due to the lack of examining the decisions, we would have taken some of the decisions. So that is what the disadvantages, that is compromise decisions. Sometimes due to some reasons we will be taking it. That is also a disadvantages. The next two are very similar. That is like expensive, because you will have too many people, and too many people, if it comes, it becomes what? It's like the huge cost is involved. Now group decision making are quite expensive in terms of time, money, energy and man hours. There is also a theory which says that the larger a group gets, the less is the individual contribution from each member. Here what happens is, in a group of 10, say example, all the 10 people are there to make a group decision, but only 3 or 4 people will be working, but the remaining 7 people will not work. They'll only take the name of the other 3 people who will get the work done. And here what happens is, though it is expensive, because all the 10 you are supposed to feed them, you are supposed to pay them salary, and a huge cost is incurred while actually going with a decision. Last one we have is groupism. Now there is a group of 10. Now what happens is, in that 10 there are 4 people who are very much together. Now what happens is, there is automatically a groupism. Say example, it can be like a state wise or a language wise or their religion wise, whatever they feel like comfortable, they'll go with the groupism. The very word has negative connotation. The groupism itself is what? Negative connotation. Some members of a group may start harboring a feeling that they are different from the other. This actually leads to informal groups within the larger formal groups, which may generate negative sentiments towards other groups or people outside the groups. Usually we can see this type of groupism in MNC company if you go abroad. Now when you go abroad, what happens is, within the group itself, we will be classifying ourselves, we will be an informal group, saying that okay, all Indians are one group, all Asians are one group, all people who are working as a different branch managers, there will be one group. So this will lead to what? Groupism, and that will be what? That is a negative connotation, and it will actually give a negative impact to the organization as well. So these are the disadvantages of group discussion. Now students, we are done with the advantages and disadvantage of it. It's a 10-mark question, that is group discussion. or group decision making. It's all about what exactly it is, and you are supposed to write it. Now, if you have any doubts regarding this, please call us, please message us. We are always there to help you. Thank you so much. I'll see you when I see you.